Kickstart Your Coaching Edge podcast, where it's all about getting real around all things coaching.
And what we know for sure is that what got you here won't get you there.
You can't see the spinach in your own teeth.
And finally, hang on, because this one's really deep. Once you realize that you are the traffic, everything makes complete and unadulterated sense.
So guess what we're going to talk about today, Karen?
I already know what we're going to talk about.
I know, that was sort of the lead up to get everybody excited. Today we're going to talk about self-love. And it's interesting because I'm a part of a program where I had to reach out to people that I respect to get their opinions about 3 questions pertaining to me. And one gentleman that I sent the questions to came back, and the question was, where do I limit myself? He shared that a bunch of different amazing things, super insightful. I loved that I picked him as one of my people.
So basically, he fed your ego?
Well, yeah. So yes, because there was other questions that did that. But the interesting thing about where I limit myself that he shared was he felt that I could have some more self-love. Now, this isn't the first time that I've heard this theme from him. And a while back, there was something that was happening, and he said, how comfortable are you being by yourself? And the truth is I'm super comfortable. I always say I would date me.
Once again, I feel like an ego kind of fits in there, but continue, please.
Well, what I mean by that, Kara, is I like who I am. I like being with myself. I like my activities that I do. I like the way I think about the world, right? So I kind of joke around about it, but I'm very, very comfortable with who I am, how I show up. So then it made me think, how does this all equate to self-love? And what does self-love actually mean? And it doesn't matter what the guy who sent me the information thinks it means. It's what do I think it means? What do you think it means? So I think this is a really great topic. So I'm going to throw the question over to you. And when you think of self-love, what does self-love mean to you?
Well, you know what, Jen, and so for all you podcast listening people, Jen and I actually had this discussion in the car, and it was interesting because my stream of consciousness in a car is so much better than my stream of consciousness sitting in an office. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of throw a little bit of out there what I think, but then Jen, I know that you said I had some brilliant things to say, and I know you took notes, so I'm gonna tell you to read the damn notes. So, but what I think self-love really is it's the relationship you have with yourself versus the relationship that you want to have with yourself. And I think sometimes self-love is a little overrated because I feel like so many inner critic messages come up to get in people's way of self-love. And I think that's where everybody gets jacked up because you start to play those messages in your head again and again and again. I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not attractive enough, all that bullshit. And then, of course, when you tell yourself all those bad things about yourself, why would you love yourself? So I think that it's really going to come back about to the messages that we tell ourselves about who we really are.
Yeah, I loved when you said that, right? Self-love is the relationship you have with yourself versus
right. Yeah, versus the relationship that you want to have with yourself.
Yeah, I just love that, right? Because that's really about, is there congruence with what you say you want and the one that you have? And, another thing that we were talking about is I think self-love, there's a part of self-respect that comes into it, right? Do I respect myself enough to follow through on the things that I think are important? Do I respect myself enough to stand up for what I believe in? Do I respect myself enough to have a clear point of view? So it's an interesting thing because I agree, Kara. I think self-love is a catch-all for a lot of people. Oh, we just need more self-love. We need more self-love. But what is self-love comprised of? comprised of?
Well, I think it's comprised of anything you want it to be. But when I think about that, I mean, because we're all going to have our own definitions of what it actually means. But when I think about it, I think it has to be some self-awareness first, right? So everything is about yourself. Well, hello, self-love, right? But what you just said, self-respect. But I think it's some self-awareness too, that you have to look at yourself. Who am I, right? Who do I want to be? How is it that I'm actually showing up in the world? Instead of just chasing, oh my gosh, it's just this one quote unquote self-love thing that you haven't defined. Maybe that's what it is, Jen, right? If you haven't defined it, then how could you have it? Because you don't even know what the hell it is.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. And I love that you brought up self-awareness. There's so much. So we have self-respect, self-awareness, self-confidence. There's a trusting of yourself. There's risk-taking that can be a part of it. It's so interesting because inner critic messages are created from our past. And the interesting thing is the past doesn't even exist. The only thing that exists is our thoughts about the past.
Correct.
And so it's what do we carry forward, right? So I just think it's a really interesting question to have, you as a listener, how do you define self-love? How is that showing up and driving your actions and what it is that you do? I think, Kara, it's much more than be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself. Sometimes self-love, and it depends on how you define it, also is kicking yourself in the ass. Let's go. You said you want this. Let's do this. It's about really gravitating towards what is the life that you're creating? How are you showing up? Do you do it through self-motivation or do you try to motivate yourself through self-deprecation? Like all those things come into play. Is it fear-based on the way you propel yourself forward? Or is it a strong arm helping you say, no, you want this. You've said you want this. Let's get it done.
So you know what, Jen? I think that what we should do is, I think next time we should talk about just that, right? It just made me think of is like the culture of self-love kind of stopping you. Is the culture of self-love getting in your way and giving you excuses for, I don't know, to just sit on the couch and be nice to yourself instead of getting your ass up and doing something? Because I think they both can exist.
I love it. So thank you all for checking in and doing the work, figuring out what self-love means to you. And that's exactly what we'll talk about on our next episode.
Bye. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Kickstart Your Coaching Edge podcast. Craving more in-depth discussions? Check out the Get Real Inner Circle with our no BS in-crowd of coaches.
Join live coaching discussions, breakdowns of coaching calls, and have some fun while you're at it.
You're going to want to go to kickstartyouredge.com/inner circle. It's time to get real.